afternoon, exciting evening, or excellent evening. This is all because of Kamran. And magnificent morning, wherever you are in the world. This is Carla from MindPlore with Carla and Friends. And today we are continuing the discussion on the phases of reality that we all go through. And only when we keep a positive outlook do we actually go in a positive direction. So it's depending on our mindset, what we're going to be thinking and how we're going to be handling it. And having said that, I want to tell you, we have my old friend, not age, but time, having trouble talking today, Kamran Rizvi, who you know is a normal Thursday guy, and hopefully he will not be traveling and be with us for weeks on end. I keep on telling him he's not allowed to travel on Thursday. He doesn't listen to me, but what else is new? We have Shivali, who has been here regularly in the past week or two. And we have Mae Jones, or I have Mae Jones, who has been here once before and told me she wasn't going to be doing any more shows, but she's willing to come for MindPlore. Not sure what's going on. Maybe she can tell us when she introduces herself. Meanwhile, I am going to ask Kamran. I know it's usually ladies first, but we're going to have men first, to introduce yourself and give me your take on the topic.
Thank you. Thank you, Carla. I feel that being a minority, you've been rather kind to give me the first option to go. And as far as my introduction is concerned, I've been in the learning and development industry for the last 30 years, and my focus has been leadership in all spheres of life, whether as a student, as a manager, or as a social activist, but leadership as a role for each individual to understand and apply in his or her life in a way that heals society, inspires people, and actually makes a positive difference in everyone's respective spheres of influence, to deal with conflicts and to deal with challenges of a kind which are confronting our society worldwide, and to work on all kinds of themes. Because in this world we live in today, there are so many issues that they require a very sincere effort by individuals to overcome biases and prejudices and rebuild the respect and trust that we need to have in each other, and by accepting and recognizing that people are different and they come from different pasts, different backgrounds, and to be able to work with difference in a way that is more innovative and more collaborative. So that is my overall goal and background. I must have interacted with at least 500,000 people directly and indirectly in a very troubled part of the world called Pakistan. And I also work abroad. I was in Great Britain for 20 years, London in particular. I've lived in North America and also in Switzerland for 3 years. And in Pakistan, the last 30 years have been quite exciting. And it's good to know that we have a friend from New Delhi, and I'd love to have her perspectives on what's going on in this world, on this planet. In any event, reality. Now, when we come to the subject of reality, the way I have always taken it is that it is both objective and subjective. when we approach reality from an objective lens, we are relying on facts. Facts which are one planet called Earth, part of the solar system, 7.5 billion people living on it. GDP of this country is X and of that country is Y. Inflation rates are this, oil prices are going up, Ukraine is under attack, etc., etc., etc. And those are very objective realities. Now, when you talk about reality from another lens, which is subjective, then instead of saying that we have one planet with 7 billion people, I would say that we have 7 billion worlds. So right this moment, for example, we have 4, and there are 4 worlds sitting here. And unless I can arrive at Laura's world and see the world from her eyes, what's happening in her world, Shivali's world, same with Carla, I truly would not be able to connect in a meaningful way with you. And empathy is that bridge, which I think enables us to see the world from where the other person is and to focus on them in order to feel with them what they're feeling. And I feel that that is where reality is more pronounced. And when it comes to leadership, it is more about the subjective part of reality. And when it comes to us as managers, then of course we have to look at the objective aspects of reality itself. And from that standpoint, because it is, in my view, a very subjective phenomena, no matter what is happening in the world, it is our paradigm that allows us to interpret those events and give meaning to them, which inspire or can depress us. So when we look at the world today, and with the crisis that we are faced with, whether it's ecological crisis or a geopolitical crisis, you can view it from a very despairing lens, or you could actually view it from a very inspiring one. So reality is what you make it. We're not victims of what's happening. We are the ones who can transform whatever it is into a much more beautiful scenario that we experience at this point in time. So there's always hope. And I feel that this phase comes from maturing and from acquiring a certain balance in life. I think I spoke longer than I should have, but I have said my piece. Thank you.
You're doing beautifully. And my question is, when we are talking about realities, what makes a reality? How can we change a reality from a negative momentum to a positive momentum?
Right. I mean, the way I would see it is paradigm shift. It's our paradigm, the rules by which we interpret reality. When we shift that, our mindset, then we start seeing things from a different lens and we give a new meaning to something. So if someone is unemployed, for example, let us say that he's now having the opportunity to choose a better employer. And instead of saying, oh, why was I dumped by so-and-so? So there are ways of interpreting events. And I think the key operating term would be interpreting. And then, of course, there are other dimensions. Because if we speak of reality, then we also speak of illusions. And a lot of us, I feel, are stuck in illusions as well. And we'll talk, I'd like to shed some light on it in the next round. But illusion cannot be ignored when we speak of reality.
Okay, I agree. But is this world an illusion or is it reality?
I'll hold myself till I hear Shivali and Laura on this one.
Ah, you're doing a Kamran on me.
Yes.
Laura, would you like to introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you're about?
Yes, of course. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's an honor to be on MindPlore today. My name is Laura Mae Jones. I'm a mindfulness master in North Carolina, United States. I love this subject because of mindfulness. I had a complete negative mindset for over 50 years. It was very depressing to live that way. I even ended up on life support, unfortunately. But what I learned from all of that was I had to create a life worth living. I had to create a life and change my complete mindset, which I did by learning mindfulness, dialectical behavior therapy. And as a result, the benefits have changed my entire being and existence to living a life of inner peace, joy. I look for silver linings in the worst scenarios. I can always find something. And my passion has been to have an impact on mental health reform in our country. I was blessed to meet people in Pakistan 1 year ago. And it's 1 year ago, like this week, that I went global and started interacting with people in other countries. And it has been just something I've embraced and lose myself in, because I never had that experience, and learning culture differences and finding out that we all want the same things. We want love, we want to be accepted, we want respect. That type of thing.
Can we get back to the topic?
Oh, I thought that was still the topic. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the
wonderful
topic.
Introduction.
Yeah, that's good. I'm good. Thanks.
So, what are your feelings on the topic on reality and making reality, your reality, the positive or the negative?
I think we have to make the choices on our own to change our mindset to a positive mindset by learning to replace negative thoughts with positive thoughts, by being aware of our feelings with all of our senses, so that we can learn to live positive and accept the reality as it is, accept it and grow from it. Does that answer that for you, Carla?
So how it's answering it. So how can we do this? What are your techniques for doing it?
My techniques were, from the beginning, I had to do thought monitoring, where I actually would write down my negative thought and rewrite it with a positive replacement, because I believe it takes 9 positive thoughts to replace 1 negative thought, if I'm correct. That's what it was last I heard. So I did thought monitoring. I did this work. I don't know how else to explain it. This book right here is Dialectical Behavior Therapy, which changes negative mindset into positive mindset. And I wore that book out so much I had to get a new one just to answer it now that it's been, years later. I want to see what my answers would be now, because back then, reality is what we make it. Sometimes we do have environmental things. For instance, I did grow up in a very negative, neglected, abusive environment. So everyone around me had a negative mindset, and I didn't really know much difference. Once I realized that I had a choice in learning to accept the reality around me and to be the most effective in it, it was a very struggling existence. But I live in the present moment now. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I'm sorry about that. Okay, we got that up. We can change our mindset, and we can accept our reality no matter what it is, with awareness, acceptance, and facts, observing the facts, and being positive.
Okay. we'll come back to you. And Shivali, can you give us your introduction and talk about your feelings of mindset? And I'm sorry, I am working on getting everything shared out.
It's okay, Carla. Today you're in very good humor. You made us smile and laugh. So I love that giggle in your voice today. So thank you once again. And I was hearing Kamran G and Laura. Like, I'm totally floored, because each time I come on this show, something new crops up. And yes, the way I look at this, okay, a brief introduction, a simple person, a soul in journey, looking for certain answers in my life. I have found a lot because I have tried to tweak my reality. And professionally, I've been a communication coach, and I'm also into healings. I've done my trainings in clairvoyance, and still trying to discover more of myself. And the best thing is when you connect with others on the soul level, you discover so much within you. So coming to this topic that yes, Kamran mentioned about what's happening in the world, and what Laura said about her journey, her life's journey. Each one of us is on this journey, right? And all across the globe, we see from time to time some sort of not so good situation comes up, and this happens every 10 years, every 15 years. So the question is that we have the best of leaders, we have the best of statesmen, we have the best of people, democracies, and all are very intelligent and doing to the best of their abilities. But the point is, everything is being done with a bodily consciousness. For me, reality changes according to my consciousness. This is what I was trying to say last time, and I repeat, it's about our consciousness in a particular moment. And that creates a reality for us at that moment. If we can change our consciousness, we can, change the world around us. And the journey begins not outside, but it's an inward journey. And if each one of us can actually do this, then this world will be the place it is meant to be. And all of us will be happy.
Okay. I want to get back to Kamran and reality. What is reality? Is reality the world outside of us? Or is reality the world that we create within ourselves? Kamran, you're muted. Please keep your...
God, I don't know who dares to mute me, but there you go. It was me who did it.
I didn't do it, but people should not be muting each other. This is an open forum.
Yeah, I know. I was the guilty one. And listening to Laura and, of course, Shivani, lots of other ideas started to come to my mind. And the question, the inner reality or the outer reality, I think it's all inner. Because subjective is how we are individually viewing the world, and the thought of a higher consciousness and greater awareness that Shivani has thrown in front of us is really something that I've been exploring from a distance. I wouldn't say I've gone deep into it yet, but I keep hearing of the fifth dimension, and oftentimes that intrigues me. And then when I read up on some aspects of spirituality and quantum physics, that also brings into fore previously held beliefs have then put into question. And the kind of propositions that one gets and the ideas one gets are so liberating, it's unbelievable at times. And I've come to the conclusion that we are eternal beings. We are eternal beings. I was there before I manifested in a body of the kind that I have, and I shall continue to be. It's not as though I'm a finite person with a lifespan of a few years. No, no, no. All human beings, I believe, were always there, shall always be there. And where we came from, we shall return to. And when we return to that place, I feel that's bliss, that's peace, that is eternal, that is forever. And I don't know, I think this blip, which I call life, this life is a blip. It's a blink of an eyelid. And these realizations and reflections are stemming from the inner world. It's not stemming from what I've been told in school or college or university. I mean, illusion, and this is where I'd like to bring this phenomena to the fore, illusion. I remember once I was asked about loyalty by the organization I work with, and the word loyalty is such a heavy word, isn't it? And I just thought to myself, what does it mean? And I discovered that it means the highest quality of relating to anyone or anything. And then I said to myself, who could I give the best of me? Who could I be loyal to? And the answer that came to mind after lots of questions was something that's everlasting. That's everlasting. And then I asked myself, what is going to last? And I discovered that nothing will, in the way that we know. In the way that we know. And like when we wake up from a dream in the morning, and let's say we had a beautiful dream or a nightmare, it was when it was happening, it felt as though it's real. And when we awaken, we say, oh my God, that was a dream. I think that's exactly what's going to happen when I pop from here and enter the new realm. And I'll discover, oh God, that was just a dream. Now I've entered a reality. So these phases of reality, I think, are birth and rebirth. And in so many ways, our reality in our mother's womb was one. Then we came out crying, discovered another reality. And as we grow older and wiser somehow, we discover that even this is the womb in which we are, and we will be born to another. So illusion is something that does not last, and we believe it to be true. I think this is the biggest fallacy. And let me conclude on this by saying that what is it about human beings that's so precious that we are willing to give up everything we've accumulated over our lives, dollars and buildings and assets. But if someone puts a gun to my head, I'll be willing to give all of that up. Just to do what? To save my life. What is so precious about my life? And why did I squander it in accumulating the very things I'm willing to give up? That is madness. And that is an illusion, really. I'm not suggesting for a minute that you don't value physical things. Of course, they're there. You enjoy them while they last. But don't get wedded to them, and do not let them define who you are. We're not defined by our possessions. We are defined by who we are. And I find the hardest question you can ask anyone is about who are you? Not what you've achieved, not what you've learned, but who are you as a person? And that, with minus accolades and awards and achievements and vision, if you strip yourself from those things, that soul that Shivali was referring to comes to the fore. And that is so beautiful. It is so nebulous and so real that you can feel it, but you can never see it. You can only feel it. With your eyes closed, you can be awake. And with your eyes open, you could be asleep. So once the soul is activated and we realize we are spiritual beings, I think that's when things are going to happen. So really, answering your question, Carla, it's the inner that gives us a view of the outer.
I agree with you. However, many people are forgetting to look inside and they're looking outside. They're stuck with, oh, there's COVID-19. It's a reality, but is it a reality if you focus on it, or if you continue moving on your life's paths? I'm not saying, COVID-19 doesn't exist. It does for many. Same thing with love. Love is the essence of all our lives, but it gets lost many times because we begin thinking, oh, I don't like that person because that person is a different color or that person doesn't think like me. But if you went and spoke to the person a little closely, you may find something very, very different than what you are thinking now. Mm. So how do we help people realize that and move on?
May I say something?
Sure. Okay. You don't need to say I say something. Just okay. Comes into the conversation.
Okay. I hope this relates enough, but what I wanted to share regarding reality, illusion, consciousness, I had a near-death experience in 2015, and I've been tested with the International Association of Near-Death Experiencers, and they validated my story, but it would be a very controversial subject. But what I know in my reality is our conscious goes on, and we are all connected. We all bleed red as human beings, but we all shine. Our souls shine. Our bodies are not there. Our soul is there. Our light is there. That is the experience I had when I woke up on life support. I had been in a coma. And of course, if you talk to certain people, they will tell you it was the coma, it was the dream, whatever. But the things that have transpired in my life since that are unexplainable to me. You could say miracle, mindfulness, illusion, but the facts are there. The facts support a complete paradigm shift by learning self-love, self-care, and doing the work. And that's what people need to go inside, like you said, Carla, because we search on the outside for band-aids, for bullet holes. We want to be fixed, but we have to fix ourselves. No one can do it for us. We have to do the work. No one can change that. No medication, nothing is going to change your mindset but you.
And man, I agree with you. We need to do that ourselves, but is it really something we need to do, or is it something we need to allow to be done?
I think the world would be a much better place if everyone lived mindfully in the present moment, learning to let go of the past and not to dwell too much on the future, because we'd be more kind, compassionate, less stressed, more giving, and able to embrace each other's differences, talk them out non-judgmentally, because part of mindfulness is learning not to judge. And it takes a long time because we were taught to be judgmental. The world is just very judgmental, but we learn not to judge, and changes everything to me.
I am playing the devil's advocate here.
That's okay. I danced with the devil many times.
We all have.
Oh, yes, we do. That's for sure.
And the point that I'm asking is, we have been taught, or it's been said, you can't do this because of whatever reason. We've been told that by our parents more than once. You're not, you come from a certain family, you cannot have certain things, or you come, and we put that in our mind. Now, isn't what we want and what we think are things that either keep us from doing what we want, or Or is it something that we do ourselves? We need to learn to let go. And in my mind, need to let go, and then whatever's supposed to be ours will be ours. What you said about being in the moment and living in the moment, that's very true. But how do you do it?
Practice. Practice, practice, practice. That's all it takes, practice. Carla, when you eat your lunch,
no, when you say, whoa,
okay,
stop
go ahead.
for a moment.
Okay.
Practice, practice, practice. I agree with that. But what are you practicing? How do you change your mind from a positive thought to a negative thought? From a negative thought to a positive thought?
I practice by observing things and not attaching labels to them. Like, I will focus on the facts and I will be grateful for them. For instance, I am aware that I'm sitting. You learn to be aware of everything around you with all of your senses.
True, but there needs, and I'm going to move on to someone else.
Yeah, that's fine.
There needs to be some technique that allows you to get what you're saying. What you're saying is just words. There's no practicality. And what I'm looking for is some practical solutions to give not only to myself, but also to the audience.
They're different ways.
Shivali?
Yeah.
A lot of things were coming to my mind. I was trying to make some notes also, like what are the points? We have covered up a lot of points. Now, coming back to my, what I've been saying, it's about the consciousness. Okay. First, I'll take up this question of where the question of reality was being asked. That what is it that we are experiencing? Is it reality or is it illusion? It is a reality, but it's a temporary reality. Things will change, as you can see. Just now, something is happening. Another moment, something is happening. And look at yourselves, look at ourselves. I was a small child, then I was a young girl, then I became a young woman, and there's so many changes which are taking place. Now, as a child, that was a reality at that point of time. You see, but all this is happening from the bodily consciousness realm. It is not happening from that high spirit realm, really. So when I say I am Shivali, it's my bodily, what should I say, the name given to me by my parents. So as Carla was also pointing out, that when we are born in our family, it just happens, we are there. So we adopt the means of that family. That name is given to me by that family. But it's a name given to that body, that baby which has been born. And they are not talking about the spirit, soul, or anything. That's the reality. So parents also are just doing that which they have seen happening. So as I was saying in my last time when we had met on this, that the consciousness itself, the topic is phases of reality. So if consciousness is that which is creating the reality, and we are saying that it has certain phases, consciousness itself is undergoing a lot of changes. That bodily consciousness, that I need to eat, I need to survive, I am. Again, this is just a external thing that we are talking about. We are still in that bodily consciousness. Even when we are speaking about this mind can be very speculative. That's why the question is that what is it really seeing? Is it creating something or is it seeing something? And then we use all kind of philosophies and mental speculations to understand what's happening around us. For example, if there is a war taking place in a certain part of the globe, we are all feeling, oh, it's terrible, this and that. But that's it. After some time, we'll forget about it. We just forget about it. So that was a temporal reality. We have the best of leaders trying the best of things. And yet, after a few years, we realize there's another confusion being created in another corner of the world. The point is, the consciousness is always the bodily consciousness. The point is, we have to make the inward journey. So as Carla said, so what is the solution? What is that we need to do in practice? You have to spiritually nourish yourself. You cannot say that I am everything. I am the boss. All of us are trying to be bosses, of ourselves and of others around us. But again, it's a bodily consciousness. Today we are here, tomorrow we may not be there. Laura has already experienced it. And because she's gone through that process, her soul has gone through that process, she knows that she is not that body. She is the spirit soul over here. So automatically now her consciousness has changed. She knows, of course, when I'm speaking, I have to speak through this body. I need a vehicle to speak and express. So this body is important. I cannot deny this body of mine. I'm speaking because God has given me the gift of this throat. But who is giving me this energy? There's a higher energy which is there. If I can connect to that higher dimension, I may not believe in God. I can be an atheist, but surely I believe in some higher dimension. The fifth dimension that is being mentioned. There are many dimensions. Why fifth? There are many, multiple dimensions. And this, it's the way you can actually tweak your consciousness through meditation. Simple things that were being done was through meditation, mindful meditation, to connect to the source. How will you connect to the source? You will get the answers, but provided you are ready for it. I am ready for it. I should not say you, provided I am ready. Am I wanting to go beyond this bodily consciousness of mine? If I am, that is why I am being able to connect to people. It doesn't matter to me whether someone is from USA or someone is from Islamabad. It doesn't matter to me. I will go to Islamabad and behave as if I'm a Pakistani, because for me, it doesn't matter where I am. I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. So consciousness is what decides your reality.
Okay. I agree with that. No one should have their mics closed. I want to take it a step further. We do have blood in common, but there's 4 different blood types. The one thing that never changes for anyone is our breath. That air stays the same, whether you're in Islamabad or Delhi or the United States. It may be dirtier in some places, but it still does not change. Could that be by becoming aware and living by each breath? Could that help us stay in the moment, Kamran?
Look, I discovered that there is a phenomena called mind control. And it's a very simple question that you can put to anyone. And it's like a trick question. And it's always useful to awaken people with innocent questions. So the innocent question that I usually put to individuals who are very caught up in this world is this: do you control your mind, or does your mind control you? And the instant answer usually is, of course I control my mind. I said, oh, really? If you control your mind, who's you? And then you get this weird answer, which is, but my mind is me. And well, it's sometimes, sometimes I'm controlling myself, my mind, and my mind is controlling me. I said, oh, really? So that is what I tend to hear from the majority of people that you put this question to. I said, well, when I ask you who drives the car, and when you're driving the car, are you in control or is the car in control? So that is very clear. But how is it that something closer to you, and you are debating the fact that whether the mind is controlling you or you are controlling the mind, and you're confused, and you're 48 years old and you haven't worked it out? What kind of a relationship do you have with yourself? So this is where, coming to the question, that one way to control your thoughts is to realize that you control your mind and you are a spiritual being. period. I mean, and now once you realize that, then breathing is one conscious act that you can do in order to tell your mind who the boss is. Because otherwise, we are subconscious. It's all programmed. I mean, the body memory is working with us. I mean, our kidneys are functioning, our lungs are functioning. We're not having to think about it. It's happening at a very habitual level. I mean, body memory is working and we're breathing without even giving thought to it. Now, the moment we start to breathe with thought, it means we are controlling our mind. We are coming into the moment, in the now, in the present. And I do this every morning when I wake up. I sit down with a lukewarm glass of water, and then I consciously breathe in, and then I hold it, and then I breathe out. And it's so easy to slip into the habit. It's so easy to slip into the habit. And that's why I think Laura's remark about practice is so important, that you've got to remind yourself that responding is always more intelligent than reacting. Reacting is a very subconscious act. It comes from our programming from childhood. When we start to respond, we are being more conscious, more deliberate, more responsible. And breathing helps us to calm ourselves. Because look, I mean, if we are panicking or if we are stressed, we breathe fast and it's very shallow. But when you breathe slowly and it's deep, it calms you. But you have to do that through deliberate, conscious effort. So yes, breathing is remarkable and it's very much part of meditation, transcendental meditation. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, I remember, 1976, when I met him in London.
Well, I was a teacher of TM, and now I'm involved with Art of Living. But again, if we're talking about something that we have that is essential to our lives, and that is the breathing, how can we say there is differences between any of us? Because we are completely connected, Kamran.
You know, I've always maintained that the sense of separateness is an illusion. We are not separate. We are all one. And the analogy, the metaphor that I always refer to is raindrops. When raindrops fall from the cloud, I mean, it takes a while for them to reach the ground. And on the journey from the cloud to the earth, they all have individual identities. They have the skin around them, each raindrop unique in its own self. But the moment it crashes onto the earth, it all becomes one. So that illusion is very temporary. All of us are raindrops. And if we start believing that we are separate and we start comparing each other, I think then we have entered the world of illusion. It's our ego, and I think the word hasn't come up in this conversation, but I feel it is our ego that wants to preserve the raindrop into not crashing and melding into everyone else and becoming one. Yeah, so that's where I would. Humility is the anecdote. I mean, is the antidote. We need humility to be able to become part of the whole.
Now, if that is true, and I'm going to give someone else a chance to talk, if we are so connected, what can we do practically so people understand that and can move forward knowing, hey, you may wear black all the time because your country wears black. But the reality is you're no different than me who wears pink, so to speak. So why are we finding all these differences without acknowledging the universality in the world? Shivali?
Because, Laura, again, because these are bodily identities. These are bodily identities. And somehow in our society, in our situations, we have always been, the focus has always been on our externals, our bodily consciousness. You look at the social media today. Okay, I'm not talking about the other aspect that, where today we are all together and it can play a very different role. It's going to play, and it is playing. But even if you look at the social media, the kind of stuff that a regular person watches, it's all to feed the bodily consciousness. So the fights are there, the quarrels are there, that lack of connectivity with each other is there, because the focus is always on the differences, because the focus is on the bodily differences, about the color, whether it could be color, whether it's the belief system, whether it's your religious beliefs, whether it's your way of functioning, whatever you're doing, it's always pointing out to the differences. What if we look at this, as a variety and not a difference? The underlying current is the spirit which is running. So that thing, from that bodily consciousness, if we can revert to the spiritual consciousness, that I am a spirit soul, like we are hinting at all these things, the breath work that we do, that's the beginning of things, of doing Atma Darshan. And who am I? Who am I? Main kaun hu, as we say in Hindi. Who am I? Am I just Shivali today? My body can change. My body is constantly changing. But I, the person inside, is not changing. The spirit inside me has not changed. That is the eternal truth. If each one of us could actually realize this, and this is where the science of self-realization comes. We can help each other out in this. We can reach out to each other. Just, okay, as simple human beings, we can reach out, if not as the spirit level. And gradually, that realization will come that we are all one. We are all divinely connected. We are co-creators. And that there is enough in the world. God has created enough in the world. So all these fights over land and property will end. God has created enough for everyone. And 2020 has been a very big learning experience for the entire humanity. If we have not learned this lesson yet, then again, something will come up. Nature will keep on reminding us. So it's time when we really now, we start thinking that, do we want to remain in these differences, or we want to now nourish ourselves? You can do it through breath work. You can do it through dynamic meditation. You're talking about, say, subconscious. Here, right now, we are talking only of the conscious world. We have not even touched upon the topic of the subconscious mind. It's the external mind, the external ego that we are constantly speaking about. So I think we need to spiritually nourish ourselves and just speak the language of love and reach out and accept each other the way we are.
So if we are reaching out spiritually and people don't know what that means, and I'm going to ask Laura this, how do we create an understanding of what spirituality is?
That's a good question. How do we create?
If not, we can. If that's a little challenging, it is a challenging question. What do you think? Don't worry about being right or wrong.
I just reach out. I reach out with my heart because I felt like I was born to be kind, and I saw a lot of hurting people, and I wanted to help people not hurt. And with everything going on in the world, with COVID and the wars and things like that, our teenagers, our military people are really suffering. So I reach out with loving kindness and share my experiences to give hope to people. And I have tools, I have things that I can help them with. And that's what I've been doing. And by living by example, answering questions about spirituality, accepting differences and not trying to change someone's beliefs, sharing traditions. I do know I am a child of God. We all are children of God. We're all going to be together again eternally. We're here to learn. Earth is a place, a learning school. We are here to learn. And when we go to our final place we will be together. A lot of us are going to recognize each other's soul there. That's my belief, and I will share that. I'm writing a book called In Heaven's Womb. I write much better than I speak. That's all. So I can articulate.
But stop. Why are you apologizing for yourself? There's no reason to.
For what?
You are apologizing when you say, I write better than I speak.
Yeah, I have trouble articulating.
No, listen.
Okay, I'm listening.
If you begin apologizing for yourself and not accepting yourself as you are, everything you said goes down the drain.
No, I accept myself, but if I'm not clear to someone else, I need to rephrase it, is all.
But you just said, I write better than I speak.
I do.
No, you're missing the point.
No, I'm not. I'm not missing the point.
You're missing my point, and I'm not being clear.
No, I think I understand. But anyway, that's my answer. I just share what I live. I share my lived experiences with people.
That's what today is about. Kamran, do you have anything you want to say?
Yes, I would simply, I mean, in answer to your question of how do we express this oneness in a practical sense, I feel it is to start having respect for everyone, and not just human beings, the wildlife and the environment, and a relationship of respect, which is free of, as Laura said, judgment, a lot of understanding. I think that is a beginning to feel the connection, and not to see yourself as separate. Respect others as you would truly want to be dealt with yourself. And we are mirrors to each other. And I feel that if we can, through our interactions, make the other person feel good about himself or herself, and we don't see them as less or more than us, but as human beings, that kind of pure, simple respect and giving good feelings to each other about each other, that I think is a huge step forward, other than, the contrast being who's right, who's wrong, who's the devil, who's, if you're not on my side, you're against me, that kind of stuff. That's rubbish. I think we need to understand that there are things we like and there are things we won't like. But respect is everyone's right. Every human being's right. And we need to start by respecting the environment, respecting animals, and there's so many species out there, birds and mammals and God knows what. And then, of course, human beings. We're all, it's a life of respect is a life of connection. And I think that's a practical manifestation of a higher consciousness.
And I agree with you. And right a few moments earlier, I was not expressing myself well. And because of that, I did not get the answer that I was hoping for. It has nothing to do with the other person. It has everything to do with the person we are, and that we are growing towards where we need to go. And we can only do that by continuing to breathe, continuing to be who we are. Shivali, do you have any last statements you would like to make?
Spiritual nourishment is the key. If we can change our consciousness, there won't be any, differences. Spiritual nourishment is, the more we'll do it, there could be any means of doing it. Meditation, you want to call it meditation? Fine, call it meditation. You want to call it dynamic meditation? You want to call it breath work? You want to do self-healing? Whatever you're doing, basically you're trying to connect with your spirit soul, which is there within you. And that is where we all are seeing. And there is only one big boss, that is God.
Are we trying or are we doing? The point is, no matter what, we're on this planet to move forward from the last. Are we trying to do it, or are we accepting that we are doing it? That's my question. I don't think we accept ourselves as we are. We're all expecting. I love how, an example, I love how Kamran speaks. I wish I could speak like him. I never will, because I'm not Kamran. I'm not Laura Mae, and I'm you, Shivali. So no matter whether I think you guys are better than me or not, the more I compare myself with how you think and how you speak, the more it keeps me away from being who I am and being true to who I am. Laura, do you have any last words?
I would just say that we are what we believe we are, and we are limitless. We need to learn to think beyond our limits, because we are capable of so much more than we believe we are. And to keep doing the next right thing and be positive, love yourself, and keep moving forward and be kind to each other. A smile shows the world there's still love in the world, and everyone needs to know that these days. So smile at a stranger. That's all.
But it's not even, you said something that got to me.
Oh, what's that?
Not even attempting to be who we are. That's all we can be. And we do not accept ourselves as we are. Just like when you said, and I do this myself, I write better than I speak. You're not accepting Laura Mae as she speaks. That's perfectly fine. I'll never be Kamran. I'm amazed by the things that come out of this man's mouth. But I'll never speak like him because I'm not Kamran.
Right.
Or like you, or like Shivali. We're all different, and we need to learn to accept ourselves for who we are. Kamran, I don't think you did your last words yet.
Yes, I would like to say to the audience listening, I love you. That's a spiritual expression. Okay.
Okay. And with that, believe it or not, we have been doing this for, I think, even over an hour. Yeah. Oh, we're 2 minutes short. And we will be back with a new topic on Tuesday, and I hope I have Kamran on Thursday, and we shall see how it goes. But the whole point is we all have our own realities. And in order to turn it positive, we need to learn to know who we are. And that can't be done by talking to everyone on the block. That can only be done by going within and finding out who are we, and are we really connected? And in time, we begin to understand that and realize it. And with that, we are going to wave goodbye. MindPlore will be back on Tuesday with another.
Thank you.
Thank you, love and light.
Can I please finish? You're
Yes.
interrupting me. We're going to go off, and we will be back on Tuesday.